Our next guest on Let's Talk Jonesboro is Cecelie Cochran, and she is the director, newly minted director of Jonesboro's MPO, and it's got another name, it's got another director. So, Cecelie, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit. First of all, Metropolitan Planning Organization is what the MPO is, but we have renamed it to...
We have renamed it to the Northeast Arkansas Regional Transportation Planning Commission.
And now that's a lot of words, but it's truly what you do and where you do it. So tell us, a lot of people don't know exactly what an MPO does and what you do as director of the Northeast Arkansas Transportation and Planning Organization. Can you fill us in?
Yes, there tends to be a lot of legal jargon, so I'm going to try to break it down as best as I can.
That's what I want to hear.
Okay. So transportation is vital to the movement of people and goods. Everyone has to get around in order to conduct their natural way of life.
Right.
You have to walk, you have to either ride the bus, bike, drive, and you're going to work, you're going to school, you're going to shop. And our job as the MPO is to help the communities collaborate with the elected officials and the Department of Transportation to plan, schedule projects for improvement that helps people be able to get around more safely, efficiently, and also add a bit more accessibility to everyone.
That's great. Now, can you give an example of how it has played out already for someone, or for an example of a project or a street, something that's been accomplished that started probably, you guys are on the very front end. I mean, I've not seen you out with a hard hat.
Yes.
But so
we're more in the planning side of it.
You're on the early stages. So,
right.
So give me an example of how maybe something played out that started with you guys.
One of the main projects you will see that is up for schedule is everyone's been talking about the Highway 18 overpass. Also the extension of Commerce Drive and trying to provide a little bit more of connectivity. And Harrisburg Road, widening it so that more people can get through safely, and also trying to provide a little bit of congestion relief in that area. So we are kind of in the early stages of those projects, but we believe that in implementing them that they will really help people get around more and also add a little bit more of connectivity.
Now, how do you decide that a certain thing is a project? Do you like drive a street and say, man, I want to get past this road faster, we've got to do something? Or do you take a call from somebody, or do you have statistics that tell you something?
The staff of the MPO, we really do a lot of the data and research, but a lot of the information that we receive for improvement projects actually comes from the community. And it comes from the elected officials, it comes from the engineering department, planning department, and it comes from the Department of Transportation when they're monitoring the current performance and trying to see, okay, which roads may need some improvement. If we've been having calls from members of the public about congestion, there's delays, we may have had a certain number of significant crashes in the region on certain streets, then yes, of course, we kind of tend to focus in on those areas and try to figure out how to help make it better.
Right. So if people are calling you and then you investigate, how do you investigate?
We don't investigate. We don't investigate. We leave that to the Department of Transportation and the engineering department, who are better equipped to go out and actually access the sites. Right. We do tag along sometimes, but ultimately they have more experience as far as engineering-wise to actually pinpoint what exactly is going on.
Right.
And we just help them develop any type of countermeasures that we can, or offer any research on the projects that we can, in order to make the best final decision on what will happen on those roads.
Now, you have a locally appointed board?
Yes.
Okay. And how many members is that, and what type of, who do they represent? What are their qualifications, I guess would be the question.
So we are governed by a two-tier committee. The main one that is this deciding governing body is the policy committee. It is made up of the mayors of Bay, Bono, Brooklyn, Jonesboro. It also has Craighead County Judge in there, and various local stakeholders and transportation representatives serve as our policy board.
Okay.
And the second tier is the technical committee. They are mainly comprised of representatives of transportation agencies within the region, other citizens who may have some experience with regard to construction or engineering, and they represent the various localities and offer that technical support when it comes to projects.
Okay. So you're looking for the type of input that will help you decide what you want to prioritize.
Exactly.
Can you tell us any priorities currently that you're working on?
So currently the MPO has really been focusing on trying to further active transportation within the region for all modes. We understand that not everyone has an access to a vehicle, so we do have a lot of pedestrians in the region, we have a lot of transit users, we have a lot of cyclists. And we also have people who are in wheelchairs as well who need to get around. And so we are trying to incorporate more of that aspect within having just multimodal considerations within our planning now.
You know, it's something that a lot of us take for granted because we have two legs that function, we have automobiles that function, and getting around is, you know, the complaints are, well, this pothole or this light didn't change fast enough. But there are a lot of people that we don't see every day because they simply can't get out, but they need to get to doctor's appointments, they need to get to work. Our jet system continues to serve more residents every year. What are the needs that most people don't see?
Most people don't see, I believe, the safety aspect when it comes to trying to plan for projects. A lot of citizens are mainly kind of conditioned towards cars. Yes. And wanting to make roads safer for cars. Well, not everyone travels that way, but they still have to work and they still have to get to school or doctor's appointments or shop even. And so it becomes then an equity issue. And with connectivity being with what it is, you don't have these people having the same quality of life as you would say having people in vehicles. So it's very important to consider all aspects within planning.
Cecelie, do you guys have any say in things like crosswalks, speed limits, signage, speed bumps?
We can suggest, but we can't enforce that.
I got
So
you.
we may suggest that, you know, there should be some type of pedestrian accommodations or wayfinding signage in a place, but it's ultimately up to the local jurisdictions on whether or not they implement those suggestions.
Got you. But they do take you seriously because...
Oh, yes, they do.
I mean, once it comes through you, that makes it official that they've got something to be aware of, right?
To be aware of, yes.
Because I could call and say, I need a left turn signal at my driveway in case a car is coming, and I want that. But that's not going to impress anybody until you come back and say Bill needs a left turn signal to get to his house.
I don't know if I have that much clout, but I would like to think so.
Okay, yes, you do, by the way. So tell me, you've been in this job just a couple of months now. So tell me, what do you like about it, and what concerns did you not? I know you were a good assistant. We had Erica Tate in before you, and she did a fabulous job.
Absolutely.
And you guys have also won quite a few awards. Regional, well, it was a national award, was it not?
Yes.
Yeah. And what was that for?
It was actually for the development of our active transportation plan. As I mentioned earlier, we are really trying to focus on incorporating more of that aspect in our new improvement projects that we identify. And so it was actually for that plan because it's the first of its kind for the region. Define
what an active transportation plan is.
What we did with that plan is basically we took a lot of the guidelines that go into pedestrian safety and cyclist safety, and we did a lot of public input as far as assessing how the citizens felt about maybe certain accommodations that might be made to the infrastructure, and if it were installed, if they would be more inclined to ride it or get out more. And from that, we kind of weighed a lot of, say for instance, if there were crossings, cycling lanes, things like that, kind of just got a picture of what the citizens wanted to see. And then we took data and research from our area that's currently in use, and then we applied it to certain streets that we thought might be beneficial for it.
You know, it seems like we have a very vibrant cycling community in town.
Yes.
But we also have a little, every now and then, a little ill will between vehicle motorists and bicycle motorists, if you will. What do we need to do to address that?
Education.
Okay.
I think it's probably an education issue. If you're not normally used to seeing cyclists out on your road, if it's just a car-centric area, of course you might be a little skeptical to having a cyclist ride next to you or in front of you. So I think it's a little bit of education, and also just allowing people to understand that vehicles are just not the only mode of transportation.
What is the smart education for both the cyclist and the people in car trucks that when they interact?
Be vigilant. Right now, we currently don't have a lot of cycling infrastructure that accommodates that.
Correct.
So just give cyclists their space. You know, and I would hope cyclists would be more cognizant of vehicles on the road as well. I wouldn't ride on a road that is extremely high volume traffic simply because there's probably an accident waiting to happen. Right. But I do advise, you know, if you're going to ride on the shoulders, you know, make sure that you're watching traffic. And I advise citizens also take into account that people on bikes are also human. Mm-hmm. And throwing things outside of your car is not nice.
Throwing is not honking. It won't make them go faster.
Exactly.
You can't have them faster because somebody.
There's
honks.
No rocket behind a bike, so
That's
if you
right.
honk, they're still not going to zoom out. So
that said, it might be, even though the law says bicyclists may use full lane,
mm-hmm.
and in many cases it's important that they do.
Right.
When the opportunity arises for a bicycle to move out of the way of vehicle traffic, it's probably a wise decision. Is that fair to say?
I would say it's wise simply until we get to the point where members of the public are more educated on, you know, cyclist rights.
Yes.
And also cyclists are more attuned to kind of the atmosphere that we have. And until we get more infrastructure in place,
yes.
Just right now, just focus on everyone being safe. Right.
Because we've had tragedy in those interactions on the county roads, and tragedy can happen anywhere, but this is something that's important to the quality of life in Jonesboro. We need to be bicycle friendly, we need to be pedestrian friendly.
Yes.
And we're working on that. I know the city
mm-hmm.
is building sidewalks for people who need them mm-hmm. all over town, and yet we still seem to have a whole lot more that needs to be done.
Yeah. Well, I think there'll always be more that you can do, but I think the direction that the localities have taken is a great start.
That's good. That's good. She's Cecelie Cochran. She is the Director of Northeast Arkansas Planning and
Regional
Transportation
Planning Commission. Try saying that 3 times fast.
I have failed to say it one time correctly, but that's what she is, and she's good at it, and we're grateful to have you on Let's Talk Jonesboro.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Cecelie.